Welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. This program may contain strong language. The content may not be suitable for audiences under the age of 17. We understand many of our listeners may not agree with all of our personal viewpoints. We in no way, shape, or form mean to be offensive to anyone. Our show notes will provide all of our source material included for each episode. Now let's get passive aggressive. Hello and welcome back to our 1 year anniversary episode. Woo! So happy anniversary to Passive Aggressive Income and to us, Lexi. Today we're going to do another episode where we get personal again. This is going to be a fun and lighthearted episode, so we hope that you enjoy it as well.
Yeah, so this episode, we have sort of a bunch of personal questions about, well, a whole bunch of things about us. And Mims and I have each answered those questions, but we don't know what each other's answers are. So
Yes.
we'll just take turns asking and replying and kind of see what the similarities and differences are in how we answered the questions.
Yes, I am excited.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
if you could retire anywhere, Lexi, where would you spend your golden years?
So I have thought a lot about this because I don't plan on retiring when I'm old and unable to do things.
Yes.
I plan on retiring hopefully like at some point in my 30s would be great. Like before I hit 40, that would be great. And retiring doesn't mean like I'm not going to do anything with my life. It just means I don't need to like work if I don't have to. So that's what retiring
Right.
means to me. But probably somewhere in Southeast Asia would be really fun because I could live off of curry and pad thai and sunshine for the rest of my life and be totally happy. And it's also a really affordable area to live in and travel to. So, I think that because I want to retire early, that's definitely a factor to consider. But hopefully, I'll be traveling all over the place.
Solid answer. So I would love to retire in Italy. I
Ooh,
want to stay here as long as I can. Um, just to be around Jake's family and
mhm.
like be around my grandmother who's in her 80s, but like when we're older and we don't have like significant ties anymore. I would love to move, honestly. I would
Yeah,
love to move there. I would eat all the bread and pasta that I don't eat now.
right.
I would drink an absurd amount of coffee
As you
and then
must.
yeah, and walk around the old streets just admiring the beautiful country. I would just like I grind so much now that I just want to like do nothing, you know?
Yeah, that's totally fair. And I'm sure once you start doing nothing, you'll be like, you know what? I'm ready for a project, but you won't have to do it if you don't
Right,
want to.
exactly.
All right, so next question. Mims, you are a very confident person, and that's something I admire so much in you. Have you always had this confidence, or is it new?
Uh I have always struggled with confidence. I fake it a lot, if I'm going to be honest. But in some situations where I felt pretty confident, I would say that the confidence and high self esteem is definitely new. Growing up in the house that I did, it was like very, it wasn't the place to shape confidence at all. I was put down a lot. I was like not brought up to a level that instilled a good self-esteem. So that's something that I've had to work on myself for a long time, and I still struggle. I still have my moments where I'm just like, I either feel like, oh, I'm not good enough to do this, why even try to do this, or maybe like I'm not beautiful enough, just like the stupid shit like that. But
Yeah.
fake it till you make it, honestly, is like it's so true, because if you're like, I don't feel beautiful today, but I'm gonna say I look really good in this outfit, and then you like keep telling yourself that like every single day, and you'll believe it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's crazy how you can like tell yourself something and you'll actually start to see the merit behind it. I'm really
Yeah.
glad that you've been able to figure that out.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, confidence is absolutely a newish thing for me. When I think back on like high school Lexi or middle school Lexi, like I don't even recognize that person. I
Right?
was really shy and awkward and like extremely quiet, and I feel like I didn't really have any sort of group that I fit into. I didn't really have any friends, and I really didn't feel like I had a place in the world at all. And
Mm,
I would overthink absolutely everything and would just be so focused on how the world perceived me. And especially because when I was in school, I got bullied a lot. And
oh,
yeah, I did. Yeah, because I'm just like a very small person. And so people would be like, oh, like you must be anorexic and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, like if I was, that's like super inappropriate to be bullying me about, but I'm
yeah.
not. And so it's like, yeah, so it was just hard. It was hard growing up. And I also have a twin sister who is extremely charismatic and extremely beautiful. And people would really like naturally gravitate towards her over me. And so
Mm,
it was really easy for me to always be comparing myself to this other person that I was with constantly and had been my entire life. And
right.
when people choose that person over you, it really starts to affect your self-esteem. And so I feel like I put myself in like a little tiny box and I got comfortable being in that box. And it's over the past couple years, and it really has been a long process in like the past decade or so, but especially in the past like 2 to 3 years, I've been challenging some of the things that I've always thought about myself and been trying to prove to myself that I can do whatever the fuck I want. And
Yes.
it really has been a big mental shift in how I view myself. And I feel like I really have completely broken out of that box that I was stuck in. And it's
Yeah.
been really freeing to accept myself as I am, how I act, what my interests are, my strengths and weaknesses, accepting how I look. And so confidence is very new for me. And sometimes, I think it's just natural to think of yourself in like less positive ways. But I think overall, I've been able to gain some confidence and it feels really good.
Yeah, I just seen this reel, from doom scrolling, and it really resonated with me. It was like 5 seconds long, but it's like this guy saying, you didn't deserve all the mean things that people had said to you, and you don't deserve all the mean things that you say to yourself either." And I'm
Mhm.
like,
I love that.
yeah, I know.
Oh,
I was like, "Okay, I definitely needed that."
yeah, it's a good reminder.
Yeah, it really was.
Mhm.
So, who was your childhood crush, and did you end up marrying someone like them?
Well, I'll do you one better than just having a crush and marrying someone like my childhood crush. I married my childhood crush.
What? That is
Yeah.
crazy.
So Alex and I started dating when we were 15 years old and really haven't ever looked back since then. I do consider 15 to be a child because,
Oh, yeah.
you're a minor, but I also
Yeah.
did have a crush on him when we met in seventh grade. Our lockers were next to him and I just thought he was really cute. And then nothing
Oh,
happened until we were seated next to each other in geometry class sophomore year of high school.
oh my gosh. You guys are I can't even handle you. Oh, man, that's so cute. I wish I had met Jake, my husband, when I was that young, because then I would've had to, like, not date all of the people that I dated.
Yeah.
Um, but not everybody's that lucky, so
Yeah, but I mean, all of those like shitty experiences have made you who you were. And like, even though
that's
I had a crush on Alex in seventh grade, like that never would have worked. Like it wouldn't
yeah,
have. So
right.
like it's a good thing that like we had a couple years to grow and like explore and do other things and figure out who we were and
Yeah.
then meet up and like grow together. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, although it's like I do feel very grateful. I know that for a lot of relationships, like it just wouldn't have worked out that early.
Right, yeah, no, I don't if I were to be with my high school boyfriend, I think I would have been married and divorced by now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you guys are making it.
Thank you.
So, I had many childhood crushes. It was hard to narrow it down, but I always loved listening to, Blink-182, so I
Mhm.
love Travis Barker, who is on
Yeah.
the drums. And I would like to say I didn't end up with my childhood crush. By the but see, it ranges though, because I was my first CD was Shakira, and I loved her. I loved her
Hmm.
look, and I had a crush on her. She had like red dreaded hair, and she like rocked out on the harmonica, and I was just
Yeah.
like in love. But then it also was like I watched Jackass, and I totally loved Johnny Knoxville.
Oh my
I
gosh.
I thought he was the hottest guy ever. Um, and then I watched this movie when I was, like, probably in middle school or, like, a freshman year in high school called, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I love the guy who, is the main character, and I thought he was super hot as well. His name is Jason Segel. And he like, everybody's like, "He's so ugly, I don't know what your problem is,"
Oh
but
my
I think he's so cute. So it's hard to narrow it down for myself because
God.
I don't know, I'm weird.
You
Um,
got a good wide taste variety.
yeah, but as of right now, like, my current crushes is Timothy Chalamet, and that goes
Hmm.
back to, like, the lanky, skinny white guy. And the guy who played Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker,
Hmm.
and, like, I think those 2 are, like, the hottest men I've ever laid eyes on besides my husband, so I would say, according to my current crushes, I would say I'm on the right
Yeah.
I'm aligned.
Yeah, I would think for sure.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Um, so when you were on a budget or broke, what was your go-to meal that you made at home?
Oh, Kraft's mac and cheese and, cheese quesadillas, um, bagels with plain cream cheese was also my go-to as well.
Nice. Yeah,
Mhm.
for me, throughout my entire adult life, really, when I was like responsible for cooking for myself, I was really from the start always a healthy eater. So when I had no money and had to start like eating healthy, I pretty much was, I think I had already been turned vegetarian and then like shortly after I became vegan. And I realized that rice, beans, and veggies were honestly so cheap. And
Mm.
that's still a meal that I frequently make. So I guess nothing's really changed there.
Yeah, I ate like shit. I did not like, I didn't even start cooking really until I met Jake, my husband, and
Hmm.
I started off with him making, the hamburger helper.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I grew up on that.
yeah, I didn't. So I like making food for myself, it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. It was like really instant or like
Hmm.
microwavable or like fast food. So I don't really know how I wasn't like 300 pounds, but I definitely survived off of like the nastiest like processed foods.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably like not an uncommon story. And I feel very grateful because Alex knew how to cook. I didn't know how to cook
Oh,
and really was not set up for success in that realm whatsoever when I became an adult. So he taught me how to cook and he was health conscious and I was health conscious. So we made it happen and he taught me and now I do a lot of the cooking and I really enjoy it. But yeah, I
nice.
really had no idea what he was doing either. So I'm very grateful to have had him during that time.
Absolutely. So is there a passive income stream that you've been interested in and maybe want to explore a little bit more?
Yeah, this is a good question because it's very relevant to our podcast. And yeah, so I'm a very busy person. I think that's not unknown on this podcast, but there are two things that I'm sort of interested in exploring. And the first is, I guess, sort of going back to my roots and getting back into my photography side hustle, Rooted Prints, where I take pictures and write fun little captions about what the moment was in that picture and then sell prints of my photos. And I've been on a really long break since I've added any new photos to my website or done really any promotion for it whatsoever. but I have continued to take photos. I've gone on a bunch of really cool trips that I think would make great wall art. So that's something that I
Yeah.
definitely want to get back into. And then the other thing is sort of related to that. I'm interested in generating some passive income through selling photo presets or like filters. I
Mm,
love editing and I have a few different styles that I think people would enjoy and actually use, whether it's for their own social media or for their own like branding or website. And I think editing photos can be really intimidating for someone who has never done it before if you don't really have that eye. And so I
hmm.
think being able to sell some of my presets, I think I could be successful doing that. And it could help some people out who want to have a nice looking brand but don't really know where to start.
I think that's a genius thing because you, like I mentioned in last week's episode, I love your editing style. And I think for people like me who just don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
when it comes to that, that would be so helpful. And
Mhm.
like, yeah, I think that's something that you should definitely look into.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like a little bit conflicted about it because like at the same time it's like I've spent so much time learning and perfecting like this look in my photos that it's kind of hard for
Yeah.
me to like give it away, but also I'm like
Oh,
there's no like I don't need to be like gatekeepy about it, you know.
right. Yeah. No, I get it though, because it's kind of like your baby, but then you're like,
Right.
well, I don't want to gatekeep about it, so let
Yeah, and
the
I can make
world
money
have it.
potentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
For myself, I got into it already, but I was really intimidated on starting to resell the things that I thrifted. I didn't think that I'd be like noticed or any of my things would sell.
Hmm.
And luckily, I've made around like $700 from selling,
Wow.
things that I buy for like $1 or, and there's expenses.
Right.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Um, but I've made a lot and
Yeah,
just
in
for
a short amount of time.
yeah, and just for things that, like, I love to do. Like, I'm already there having a great time, and then I also am basically getting paid to do it, you know? So,
Yeah.
um, I really enjoy that, and then I'm writing a book, and I know that once it's done because right now it's definitely not passive, it's,
Hmm.
very much
Right, you
involved.
were actively writing it.
Yes. And if I ever get picked up or if I'm ever like published or any like if I get to that point, at that point it would be passive because then I
Hmm.
would just be collecting. But that's
Yeah.
something that I have to get over as far as like that imposter syndrome that I've been
Oh
feeling a
yeah.
lot. Just like you're not a writer, you're not an author, you're not this, you're not that. Like who's gonna want your idea? And
Oh.
I it's tough, but, like, I've written all of it, so I've, like, pushed through that narrative that I have in my head.
Wow.
Um, right now, it's just about editing and refining, so
Hmm.
I definitely gave it the middle finger, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna do it anyways," so
Hmm. Yeah,
yep,
I feel like that's been the theme of many of your answers this episode and like the past episode is like, you know what, I can do that.
yeah.
And if you need someone to look it over, I feel like I maybe would have been like an editor or something in another lifetime. So I would love to read your book.
Yes, I would take you up on that. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm down. So if you could only watch one show for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ah. I would have to say It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's a good
Um,
one.
but besides the newer seasons, because to me they kind of flopped. And then The Office. I say that because I've watched it at least 10 times through.
Yeah.
Um, and I have not gotten bored of it. I think it's still so funny. And I know all the jokes by heart and
Hmm.
all the cringy moments that's happened. And, I love these shows so much that I could die just, watching them throughout my entire life.
Yeah, I feel like both of those shows are just good, like comfort shows you
Yeah,
can always go back to, like they're old reliable.
yes, exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, my favorite show is Mr. Robot. Have you ever seen it, Mims?
Oh, no, I have not, but
I
I've
think
heard
you'd
it's
like
really
it.
good.
It's so good. It's dramatic. The characters are super fascinating. The plot has some really crazy twists, and I've watched it, I think, two times through, maybe three times through. I think I'm like due to rewatch it, but I save shows like that for the winter. And now that it's like about to be summer, I probably will be refraining from like watching much TV. But
Yeah.
yeah, that show, I feel like every time you watch it, you like pick up on something you missed the last time, and it's just so good.
Yeah, I love a show where it's, like, really intriguing and not boring, so yeah, definitely, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, you should.
I have some good recommendations, if anybody's into true crime, Mindhunter, it's only 2 seasons, and I don't know why they won't renew for a 3rd, but it's so good as far as true crime. And then Killing Eve on Netflix is also very, very good, and it's just really well made.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like it's like based on like an assassin, so it's not like true crime per se, but it's definitely a darker series because of the
Yeah,
whole like killing. So
right. Hmm. Oh yeah, I have another show I watched for the first time maybe a couple months ago. It's called Money Heist. It's
mm,
originally in Spanish, but you can watch it Spanish with
yes.
subtitles, yeah, or they have a dubbed version too. And that show is so good. It's pretty short, and it actually like when a show actually has an ending and it's like a good ending. Yeah,
Mm,
I love that. That's a good one.
yeah, absolutely. So, next question is, since we're both sober, what is your go-to mocktail or soft beverage that you need at that party?
Hmm. So this is going to sound really lame,
Oh
but
gosh.
I love just like fizzy seltzer waters. So like bubbly brand or LaCroix. I don't drink soda. I haven't since I was in high school, and I don't really drink like many sugary drinks, but like a slightly flavored seltzer water just really hits the spot. And Alex and I just planted an herb garden. So we planted some mint, and the other
Mm,
day we made like mocktail mojitos with a lime
oh,
seltzer water, lime juice, and mint from our herb garden. It was so good.
I love it. No Heatos.
Mojitos.
Cute. Oh, I love that. So for myself, I'm really gross and I love unsweetened iced tea.
I
Like,
love unsweetened iced tea.
oh, okay.
That's not
Nobody else
gross.
that I know likes it. Purely brand unsweetened iced tea or the McDonald's, whatever they have is like
Mhm.
crack to me.
Yeah, when I worked at McDonald's in high school, I drank a lot of their unsweetened iced tea.
It's so good, and, like, so I'll have it, like, in the car with me or, walking around and, like, my husband he's tried it, like, once, and he's like, "Oh, that's disgusting." And it's like, "It tastes like dirt," and I'm like, "I don't know what to tell
No,
you."
I'm such a tea person. That's blasphemy.
Right? I know. But as far as a mocktail, I would have to go with if you're ever in the Fox Valley, specifically downtown Appleton, there is a bar called Ambassador.
Yes,
And
we went there together.
yes, they have this drink called the Flippy Floppy, and it is a pineapple citrus drink that like blows me away every single time. They even put like an actual pineapple slice
Oh,
in it,
sounds
and
so good.
it's amazing. And then they also do like a cold brew um uh mocktail that is just it
Like an
kind of
espresso.
yeah, and it has like a salted like foam on it too. It's so
Ooh.
good. They're the best. I mean, obviously I don't have the recipe, but they have the best mocktails in this area.
Hmm. Yeah, that was definitely like a hidden gem that
Yes.
opened up once I moved away, but you introduced me
Right,
to it, and yeah, I've been there a couple times now.
right.
Speaking of sobriety, do you have any advice for people that want to start this journey?
Yes. It would only work if you truly want to make the change. You can have 100, 1,000, a million rock bottoms and still not want to change.
Hmm.
And even not having a rock bottom, maybe you're just like, I don't like the way that alcohol tastes. I don't like the way alcohol makes me hungover. It still has to be your choice.
Yeah.
When you commit to getting sober, make sure that you mean it and that you remind yourself every day of the person that you want to be. And not don't harp on the person that you were. Like if you're doing this because you hit a rock bottom and you're like, enough is enough, do not like go into that um beating yourself up because of the mistakes you've made. I mean, obviously reflect on them and make sure that you are aware that like you fucked up in a one way or another, and that's why you want to make a change.
Hmm.
But don't put your nose in it every single day, because that's not gonna. You're just like, I don't know. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in like scolding yourself and making yourself feel like shit every day. Make sure that you strive to be the person that you want to without drugs, without
Hmm.
alcohol numbing you. And also have a game plan for like for things that come up if you've been numbing. Um things are going to come up emotionally. So have like a game plan as far as like therapy, or like outlets that you can like go into meditation, go into maybe working out if you haven't been, because things may come up that you are not expecting. It's happened to me. So make sure that you are aware if you are getting off of drugs and alcohol because of numbing or because of like emotional pain.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. It's like you need to acknowledge who you were when you were using, but also like make amends with yourself and make amends with other people that maybe it affected, but you can't let that like consume you because you like addiction is not a choice. It's addiction and that's something that you can't help. But so don't like let that get to you so much when you're trying to make a positive difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, I think my biggest piece of advice is to surround yourself with people who are also sober or don't drink a lot or don't do whatever substance that was a problem for you. Find support in the
Mm,
people that you can hang out with and like not even realize that drinking is a thing. We talked about this a little bit in our last episode, but surround yourself with the people that it's just fun to be in their presence and you don't need substances to enjoy your time with them. I chose to stop drinking probably like just over 5 years ago now. And honestly, I forget that's even a thing that people do regularly because the
I love
people
that.
yeah, because the people I surround myself like it's just not really a part of their lives. And additionally, if you are a very like financially conscious person, then calculate how many drinks or other substances you would typically have on a weekly or daily basis, and then calculate how much that would cost you. And when you stop
Mm,
drinking or doing other substances, then you can look at like real cost savings. By choosing to be sober, this is a direct benefit that you're getting.
right. Yeah. Sobriety is so cool in so many different ways. Like it makes you um be you,
Hmm.
without anything else. It is the most genuine you could possibly be. I think it's the rawest you could possibly be, and to that's scary, like
It
that
can
is just
be.
like, yeah, if you haven't been raw, if you haven't had if you drank for a long time, you've done drugs for a long time, um and then you decide to become sober, it is a very scary step, but it's so worth it because it's like reintroducing yourself to yourself, and I think it's so beautiful. It's also very cost effective,
Yeah.
like you just don't spend a shit ton of money on things that just like aren't benefiting you.
Hmm.
um Health wise, it is just the best thing that you can do for yourself because it's you're basically ingesting poison.
Yeah.
Um, it's just so many things that, and then you get to see people as they truly are, you know?
Yeah.
I think that, seeing all my friends support me becoming sober and like not being being really respectful of it, like, oh, if you don't want me to drink tonight, I don't have to drink. Like that is like the sweetest thing that anybody has said to me, because that's just so considerate. On
Yeah.
the other hand, I've had people try to get me to drink,
Oh my God.
and those people, I've like, it's opened my eyes. It's like, you don't respect me, like, you don't
Hmm.
respect my decisions.
Yeah, you
So
don't
it
have my
really,
best interest in mind.
exactly. And I'm just, and it would shock you who it was that try to do that. So it's like it really opens your eyes to like who's there for you and who isn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's another added benefit is like you get to see what people's true intentions are.
Hmm. Okay, what is the best passive income tip you have heard on this podcast, said by yourself or by me?
Yeah, so you've said this, I think, a few times throughout this podcast, and it resonated with me so much. You said, if you're not constantly learning, shedding your old skin, and finding new hobbies, then you're not participating in your life. And to
Oh,
me, I'm like, wow, this is so important because there will never be a point in your life where you say, I've made it, I've learned everything there is to learn. I'm like at the top of my game. Like you'll never reach that point. And it can be really easy to get in a rut where you come home from work, watch TV, go to bed. You don't do anything on the weekends. You're not doing anything productive, and then that's it. It's easy to fall into that trap, but that's not like you're not actually living. It's not gratifying to stay stagnant. And that's why I love that you've said this because I think it just gets to the root of how to live a happy life. And I think ultimately that's what this podcast is about. It's about setting you up to live a happy and successful life.
yeah. Oh, I like that you like got word for word what I said. That's awesome.
Yeah, because it was so important to me. Like I wrote it down. I made an Instagram post about it. Like yeah, I think this is really, really good advice.
Thank you. So for myself, you kind of just a blanket, multiple times you've said this, just like you're never too old to reevaluate your goals in life. And you taught me so much when it comes to goal setting,
Mhm.
and that life isn't linear, and sometimes that your goals and plans will change,
Yeah.
but you can like, you don't have to like play catch up when it comes to like planning. Even if things change, you can be proactive about it. And I think that your episode of like, seasonally like reevaluating what you want in life, and if things have changed, if things are the same, how you can readjust yourself for each season, because you're not the same.
Yeah.
That really like resonated with me, because it's so true. Like who I was during the winter is not who I am right now during springtime. So it's
Hmm.
like I love that piece of advice that you gave. It was like an entire episode. I'm
Yeah.
just like I live for that.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, I feel like both of the things that we've brought as answers to this question are kind of similar. It's like you
Yeah,
can do whatever you want with your life, and it's okay to change things up, but just be in the moment and think about what you actually want.
exactly.
So what is a mental health tip you want to share that has proved successful in your life?
I have a little nugget of advice for all of our listeners that I've learned from therapy. Put a little picture of yourself from when you were a kid, a picture that just warms your heart, and put it on like your bathroom mirror or like your vanity mirror. And every time that you look at um, that picture, remember little you, and remember that anytime you talk down on yourself or you don't believe in yourself, and also, don't y- anytime that you just like are just kind of like being mentally abusive towards yourself, go look at that sweet baby angel and be
Oh,
kind to him and her or her. And don't forget to like protect your inner child because that is just like who you're talking to, really.
mhm.
So look at that little baby in the mirror and just be like, why would you ever say that to her or him? And just keep practicing that because then you like humanize yourself, and it's
Yeah.
like why would you ever talk to a baby like that? And that baby is you. So um yeah, that's my piece of advice.
Oh, I love that because I think this is something that I struggle with a lot. It's just like being really mean to myself sometimes. And if I had to look at like a younger Lexi, it'd be like, why? Why would you say that? And like, you've come so far.
Exactly.
Like, look at where you were and look at where you are now. Like, just be nice. That's really good
Yeah,
advice.
exactly.
My piece of advice is that, so I'm a big advocate for just feeling your feelings. And as someone
Mm,
who has a lot of them, I really cannot function without letting those feelings out sometimes. So my advice is just to know that it's okay to be emotional and cry when shit is hard. You can allow yourself time to rest and grieve or be angry or anxious and talk about it with someone that you trust. And then after you've got all of those feelings out of your system, then you can put in a plan. You put a plan in motion to deal with those things that are causing you so much turmoil. And like I know I definitely need the time and space to feel bad, but I also know that many of my troubles aren't going to get better unless I actively do something about it. So I
mm,
think that sort of makes up the two parts of this piece of advice is that like feel your feelings and then do something about it. And that's been
yeah,
really helpful for me in dealing with mental health issues when they come up.
I love that. I think that, obviously allowing and then doing something about it go hand in hand. So I think that's really great advice right there.
Yeah, thanks.
What advice do you, since we're talking about advice,
Yeah.
what advice do you have for, young Lexi and then young me?
hmm Yeah, so I think this goes back to my answer to the second question. But I would tell little Lexi that she's enough just the way she is, that
Mm,
she can try new things and be someone that doesn't sound like her, and that she's capable of so much more than she gives herself credit for, that she has value just being who she is, and that she will be happy and successful.
I love that. Yeah. So my best advice that I would give to little me is not to dwell or yeah, just not to dwell over the people that the universe removes from your life because all of the people that you have shedded over all like the years would have held you back in the long run. So if you continue to cling on to those relationship and friendships, it would have been a hindrance to yourself. I had a really hard time growing up with people like leaving me as far as
Mhm.
friends, boyfriends, even family members. And I'd be like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, why do
Oh,
people like leave me and leave my life and blah, blah, blah. And it would be for like their own like awful like actions, and I
right.
would internalize it like it was me.
Mhm.
And I would go back and tell her, just let it go. Like, let them go because everybody that is meant to be in your life, and I truly believe this, will be in your life. Like, if
Yeah,
they are, I have the best people in my life now. And I can only thank the universe for getting rid of the people that were not meant to be in mine. Because if it were up to me, I would have clung on to them and it would have been detrimental to
yeah,
me. I
that would
would
have
have
been
grown.
healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would say.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you guys so much for listening and for celebrating our 1 year anniversary with us this episode and last. We're always enjoying sharing little bits and pieces of our personal lives. So thank you for being with us on this ride, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Passive Aggressive Income was written, recorded, edited, and produced by co-hosts and creators Mims and Lexi. We truly want to thank our listeners, collaborators, friends, and family that continuously support us for all the love we receive.
If you enjoy our show, please give us a glowing rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see what we are up to. For any inquiries, please email passiveaggressiveincome2023@gmail.com. Episodes of Passive Aggressive Income are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and like us on your favorite streaming platform.